All right, so we have the go. So we're just waiting for everybody to get going. All right, so you'll notice that Crrool and Poorscythe just went and bought a hammer. So now they're going to do some quick menuing to get everything set up for this equipment glitch that we use throughout this run. So what they'll do is they'll take the hammer, they'll put it in the weapon slot, and then what they're going to do is they're going to use the memory cursor and put it on the glove slot on each of their characters. And what happens is when they programmed the game, they gave some weapons and some armor the same identification code. So what you do is you basically trick the game by hitting one of the bumpers and X at the same time, which then forces the game to, instead of putting a hammer in the weapon slot, it then puts the knight's armor on the glove slot. So by doing this, it gives us an armor that we would not normally be able to get until Melmond, which is later in the run. So now we have that up front, which makes, for the most part, our warriors of light impenetrable, which is great for us up front. Now you'll notice that they also glitched an extra knight's armor on the warrior. By doing this, they're going to sell that knight's armor later. It's worth a lot of money, and that will help to finance a lot of the items that they're going to purchase up front. Now, as our runners are walking around, you'll notice that they are trying to minimize how often they walk on the woods. The reason for that is the forest tiles have the highest encounter rate in the entire game. So what they'll try and do is they'll try and maximize walking on marsh tiles. By walking on marsh tiles, it allows them to have the lowest encounter rate in the game. All right, so Crrool just picked up the leather cap. So now we're going to do the equipment glitch again, going from a armor slot, the helmet slot, and going to the weapon slot, and it'll give us the Judgment Staff. So the Judgment Staff is a weapon that you would pick up in one of the bonus dungeons significantly later in the game. And even though it's a staff, it is more powerful for physical attacks than anything else that we start out with this early in the game. So we're going to use the Judgment Staff against Garland. Here we have Garland. He's going to be huffing and puffing. He's going to threaten to knock us down. And you're going to see that's really such a hollow threat. He really can't do anything. He looks menacing, but check this out. A bunch of people equipped with staves are going to beat him to death. And there you have it. So much for knocking us down. So now we've saved the princess. Unlike most video games where the princess is the last person you save, in this game, the princess is the first person we save. All right, so now the Warriors of Light on Crrool's side just got the loot. Now this is a very important key item. Without the loot, you cannot complete the game. In earlier versions of Final Fantasy I, like the NES version, the game would allow you to walk out of the room and not pick up the loot. Which if you do not have the loot and you walk into the Chaos Shrine and you don't have it on that level that you need it to progress, as soon as you go in the Chaos Shrine, you can't leave. So you're stuck. So it was a way in the old NES days that the game could absolutely troll you. However, in the PSP, they fixed that. So you'll notice our runners went and picked it up anyways, but if you're casually playing and you don't know to pick up the loot, the game will not allow you to walk out of the room until you've gotten the loot. Now, in accordance with Lucan's prophecy, the Cornellians have been highly motivated in repairing this bridge, and they do it in a matter of seconds. So I'm not sure if I would necessarily drive a semi-truck over it, but it definitely seems to be safe enough to walk across. All right, and now Crrool has just triggered a cutscene. Now, one of the important things about this cutscene is that because we are switching graphics engines, we can skip it. So any other cutscene that stays in the normal graphics engine of the game, you can't skip. You have to suffer through the whole thing. But in the PSP version, when you switch graphic engines to something a little bit more slick, we can skip those cutscenes. So Crrool's going to continue to walk across. Actually, Crrool and Poorscythe are pretty close right now, but they're going to walk across and go to Pravoka. Now, Pravoka has a little bit of a problem. Being a seaside town, maybe you can think outside the box as to what their problem is. Now, I just finished watching the Goonies movie earlier today. So it's the same problem that apparently they had. Does Goonies take place in Oregon? I think it takes place in Oregon. But it's the same problem that town had back in the glorious 18th century. It's pirates. Now you notice Crrool's having some, that's right, Goonies never say die. So you'll notice that Crrool is having some issues running away from those wolves. That's because wolves have a very, very high agility score. So because they have such a high agility score, it makes it really hard to run away. So sometimes a wolf encounter almost feels like an ambush. Now notice on Crrool's side, he decided to use the Judgment Staff as an item, and it casts Flare for free. Probably one of its, I think, a level 8 black magic spell. So it's one of the most powerful spells in the game. For those of you from the NES era, that would be known as Nuke. So essentially we have just created a new delicacy in Pravoka, Pirate Crispies. Feel free to come on down. They're in limited supply. There's only 9 of them. So if you really want one, you have to go and get it. All right, so Crrool elected. I don't think I've seen Crrool buy any items at this point. So he is rolling out and heading to Elfheim. Let's see what Poorscythe is doing. We have obtained a ship. Now here's the funny thing. We just killed off the crew for the pirate ship. And now we're going to take the pirate ship. Who's manning the ship? Questions that Final Fantasy never ever takes the time to answer. All right, so at this point, it looks like neither of the runners are going to engage the 15 puzzle. So what happens is if you press, what is it, like X0 a gazillion times, I think it's like 20 times, it pops up a sliding 15 number puzzle. And if you complete the puzzle in about 30 seconds, you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting an emergency exit, which is really helpful during the Earth Cave. But it doesn't look like either of our runners have elected to do that. Now you'll notice that Poorscythe walked into the castle and then out of the castle. That's one of the few things you can do in this game to manipulate the RNG. I'm not exactly sure how much it does, but I know all the guys who have really low run times on speedrun.com, they use that to try and reset the RNG counter rate. Not only does your favorite game zone have a community around it, but this tournament is run annually. This is actually the 3rd time we've done the tournament. And there's actually a fairly healthy community. We have a good Discord server, and I'm actually one of the newer runners. I just started doing this game probably in December. And the community has been a significant help in helping me get into it. And I finished number 17, so I just barely can qualify for round 1. So Crrool just jumped into the Marsh Cave. Now the nice thing about the Marsh Cave is, for the most part, of all the dungeons that we're going to be in during this game, it has the lowest encounter rate. There have been times I've actually gone through the Marsh Cave all the way to the Pisco Demon fight and did not have 1 encounter. That happens. All right, so you're about to experience the first spike tile in this game. So right in front of that treasure chest is a spike tile where it randomly selects how many Pisco Demons you have. You'll notice Crrool only got 2. 2 is the minimum. You can have a maximum of 4 on that spike tile. Depending on the route you have, this can be a bigger deal, because like 2 for the Black Mage Left Dagger route means that you'll probably have to pick up an extra random encounter on the way back to Elfheim so you can have a high enough level. You need to be level, what is it, level 8? I can't remember. But you have to have, I think you have to be level 8 to be able to purchase the spells that you need in Elfheim. Now you'll notice Poorscythe healed up all his guys before he went into the Pisco Demon fight. The reason being, Pisco Demons at this stage of the game have a very high probability of doing a critical. If they do a critical, they ignore that awesome knight's armor they have, and so it goes directly against our characteristic for defense. And being as we are avoiding as many random encounters as possible, it's really low. So if you don't heal up, you run the risk of the Pisco Demons one-hitting and killing people. Yes, everybody uses the same party. At this point, at least with how we have, I don't want to say perfected, but how we've kind of maximized the run, you need the warrior because at the beginning of the game, the warrior allows you to use almost every single weapon and armor in the game. The thief allows you to run early on, but then later on the thief can learn haste, which can be very useful if you have both the ninja and the black wizard knowing haste. That allows the chaos fight to go faster. The black mage obviously for teleport. That's a lot of what we use him for, as well as haste in the chaos fight. And the white mage is really there to heal people up. So Poorscythe did escape that paralock. Crrool just got really lucky. So Astos has the opportunity. He actually has a really high probability of casting death first round. So that gives him an opportunity to just outright kill somebody. So usually what the runners will do is warrior thief will do physical attacks. Then black mage, white mage use the judgment staff. So what you have discovered, thanks to Crrool and Poorscythe taking the crown to the elf king in the Western Keep, he wasn't an elf king, he was a dark elf. Spoiler alert, dark elf. But he is not like Drizzt Do'Urden. He's not a good dark elf, he is a bad one. So we have to take him out. Now here's an interesting thing. Crrool just got a crystal eye, so you're in a freaking castle. All the stuff you can get, and there's a crystal eye. Now first of all, why does Astos have a crystal eyeball? I have no idea. Version that's a crystal ball, but in the PSP it's a crystal eye. Alright, so Poorscythe's getting his setup. Oh, he cast death on white mage. Okay, that's not good. Now that's not a game ender, but what that means is Poorscythe's going to have to do some level management, because later on in the run in the ice cave we do a level grind with the black mage, white mage, trying to get them to level 18 so that way they're ready to use all the big spells we're going to use later on for the remainder of the run. So this just means he's going to have to pay attention to the level difference between the black mage and white mage during that grind. All right, so Final Fantasy I, if you have not noticed, really does not have much of a storyline. So for the most part, you can skip almost all of it if you know where you're going. So Crrool, now having the crystal eye, is going back to, he's going to swing around the peninsula where the beginning castle is, and he's going to go to a cave that if you were casually running the game, you would have run into a witch that can't see, because she's missing her, I guess, one good eyeball, which is made out of crystal. So once you have the crystal eye, you can go back and help her out. Now, as Crrool and Poorscythe have been going up and down in the water, on the ocean tiles, you've seen some Sahagins. So Sahagins we nickname the sea wolves, the wolves of the sea. They, like the wolves that Poorscythe is trying to run away from right now, have a very high agility score. So until we start stacking items that increase our agility, we cannot get away from them very easily. So Poorscythe is going to the item shop, and we specifically have to go to the Elfheim item shop because that's one of the only places where you can pick up golden needles. So golden needles are needed to heal from petrification. So you'll notice Crrool just hooked up Myota with her crystal eye. And now the one thing that does make sense in the game is that the witch brews a jolt tonic. Now, that kind of makes sense with the lore, you know, witches brew stuff. There's even a kid's song about witches brew. I know because my kids have made me listen to it. So our runners are about to essentially high-five each other as they sail past each other. Crrool heading back to Elfheim, and Poorscythe finishing the sailing around the peninsula to go to Mayoda's cave. So Crrool's going to take care of our slumbering elf prince. I will try it at once. Screen flash, and now instantly, if only all medication was like this. See, this is where you have to suspend belief and just go with magic. So this Jolt Tonic magically makes it so that way the elf prince wakes up. But now we're going to completely ignore the elf prince because we have the mystic key, and we're going to step out of the castle and come back in. That actually saves you a couple of seconds, probably about 3 to 5, because it saves you having to walk around the castle. You just quickly step off. It's only a couple tiles to step off, and then you come right back in, and it saves you some time. So now Crrool is glitching over the thieves' armlet. So by glitching over the thieves' armlet, what he does, because the mithril hammer and the thieves' armlet share the same identification code, it actually, stacking all three of those on the glove, armor, and helmet slots, it actually stacks agility, so and defense. So both of those stats stack. So he actually has tripled the effect that the thieves' armlet does. So Crrool's doing all his item shopping, grab some potions, because at this point he doesn't have any healing spells. He has picked up an antidote as well as his golden needles. So you'll notice that runners pick up things at different times, and that's fairly normal. And my feed just died. Let's see if it catches up. I'm actually on hotel Wi-Fi, so I don't know if that's the hotel or if that was the stream, but I just went to zeros. Let me refresh. There we go. Okay, I'm back. All right, so Crrool has gone back to the beginning castle, so I hope that you're paying attention to the beginning castle, because this is the last time you will see it. So Crrool picked up the nitro powder, and so what happened, yeah, it's the hotel Wi-Fi. Sorry, everybody. I'm actually in San Antonio in a hotel room, so I'm here for a conference, and trying to give some of the guys who have done a lot of commentating a break, so I picked up this one to try and help out. So Crrool picked up the nitro powder. So what we're going to do with nitro powder is the only thing that you can do with nitro powder when NASCARs have not been invented at this point in the universe, is we're going to hand it to some Duergar dwarves, and they're going to blow stuff up. So that'll be pretty cool. All right, so Poorscythe has just awakened our slumbering elf prince. So I'd say right now, Crrool probably has about a 1.5 to 2 minute lead, which sounds like a lot, but RNG plays a huge factor in this run, so anything can happen. Especially once you get to the ice cave, which you'll see coming up. The ice cave is the great equalizer. My one win that I got in the qualification round came from an ice cave trolling the individual I was racing. She lost 6 minutes because she had to reset 4 times in the ice cave. So anything can happen at this point, but I would say that Crrool has a fairly solid 2-minute lead. So Crrool's just handed off the nitro powder, and our overzealous happy dwarf is gonna go and blow up an isthmus. Yes, boys and girls, isthmus is the proper term. I had that validated the last time I did commentary. So he's going to blow that up and create a canal. Now you'll notice Poorscythe, as he was walking onto his ship earlier, he parks his ship on the farthest tile out on the port. He does that intentionally. The reason he's doing that is because port tiles have a 0% encounter rate. So you can walk across port tiles and you have 0 chance of getting a random encounter. So you'll notice Crrool just switched graphics engines. Skip the cutscene. So Poorscythe just picked up the mithril knife. And so what that shows us is he's using... so there's multiple routes that people use. So Poorscythe is using a route that has items. So you use items for spells. So he's going to glitch that mithril knife, and he's going to glitch it into, I want to say, black robes. And what that does is it allows him to cast Blazeria for free. I don't remember if I saw him pick up the leather shield, because you can either get the leather shield as an item drop from the pirate fight, or you pick it up in Provoca. The leather shield allows you to glitch mage robes, which allows you to cast Fire for free. So Poorscythe will pick up the mage knife mage knife to turn into black robes, leather shield to turn into the mage staff, and then he's going to pick up gauntlets in the Citadel of Trials, and that'll give him his 3 main offensive spells he's going to use, because the gauntlets cast Thundra. So Crrool is buying steel gloves in Melmond, and what that does is the steel gloves glitches us the most powerful sword in the game. Super OP, it's called the Barbarian Sword. For the most part, it makes all of our characters just giant cannons. They kill everybody. They can kill just about anything in one hit. The only thing that can't be one hit killed in the game with the Barbarian Sword are the bosses. So you'll notice Crrool is trying to maximize those marsh tiles because he wants to get the lowest encounter rate possible as he's walking to the Earth Cave. So you'll notice he's going to great effort to try and step on as many of those marsh tiles as he can. So I think Crrool is using an even older route. So he's using the straight Barbarian Sword Judgment Staff. So for the most part, for an AoE spell, Crrool is going to use the Judgment Staff the entire run. And then he has, I believe he put Barbarian Swords, I'm sorry, I'm flipping back and forth between the two screens. I believe he put the Barbarian Sword on everybody. So what that does is it means that everybody has a massive physical attack. All right, Poorscythe is making his way out of the Duergar cave, and then he's going to go to Melmond to pick himself up the steel gloves, so that way he can glitch that Barbarian Sword. For the most part, in the Earth Cave, where Crrool's at right now, on B1 and B2, there are no unrunnable encounters. B3, however, can be somewhat trolly, which is why you'll notice that Crrool did a safety save. So what happens is you have your first unrunnable encounters in the game on B3 of the Earth Cave. So you've got the Pisco Demons. You can have a Pisco Demon fight. Those are still unrunnable, and they remain unrunnable the entire game. And you'll also run into cockatrices. So it's not that you cannot run away from cockatrices, but the issue with cockatrices is if they petrify everybody in your party, you've got some issues. So you'll notice Crrool just got his 4 Pisco Demon fight, so this is unrunnable. He's going to have to fight through this before he can get to the vampire. Alright, so you'll notice that Poorscythe is getting ready to start glitching the Barbarian Sword. Crrool just nuked those Pisco Demons out of existence. Now, Crrool has actually been, knock on wood, been very fortunate with the bats. The bat blocking can be fairly annoying. So here's the vampire. Vampires, also like Garland, is going to give some big threats, but now you're going to see the power of the Barbarian Sword. Check this out. The White Mage. The freaking White Mage one-hitted the vampire. Absolutely crazy. All right, so Crrool, and thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the commentary. If you don't learn anything, I hope you at least stay entertained. So Crrool just picked up the Star Ruby. So we need the Star Ruby to allow us to get through the next part of the game. So I think I got distracted and I didn't finish my thought, probably because something flashy happened on the screen. So this game has a lack of a storyline. So to make up for it, you do a lot of fetch questing. Fetch questing is pretty awesome because essentially what it does is it makes it so you just have to wander back and forth. So in the initial fetch quest we did, you go to Provoca to get a pirate ship. You go in the Marsh Cave to get a crown. You take the crown to Astos. Astos dies and gives you the crystal eye. You take the crystal eye to Myota. Myota then gives you the Jolt Tonic. The Jolt Tonic allows you to wake up the Elf Prince. The Elf Prince gives you the Mystic Key, which allows you to pick up the Nitro Powder. And then the Nitro Powder allows you to get through that isthmus. And hold on. Sorry. For some stupid reason, the hotel is making me revalidate my internet connection. Give me just a second. Pardon us for this unscheduled break in commentary, because I can't frickin' see anything. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you, Doubletree. Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Hold on. Do. Haha! Back. Got it. Sorry. The fun of free hotel Wi-Fi. Yay! Everybody's favorite. Oh crap, I just got disconnected from the IRC. Awesomeness. Alright. Well, anyways. Sorry, I'm back. So Poorscythe, it looks like, has made up quite a bit of time. He had... Welcome, Snelly. I'm glad this is your favorite game. If this is your favorite game, this is probably one of the easiest RPG speedruns to learn. So if you like what you see as far as this speedrun, let us know. We can post... There's probably some way that I can post the Discord server in here. I'll probably do that later. Feel free to join the community. I'm fairly new. I just started running this game in December. And in about 90 days, went from finishing the game a little over 2 hours to 1 hour and 37 minutes, which I think is not too shabby. It put me in 17th place in this tournament. So I got knocked out, but I'm still providing commentary and enjoying watching the pros go at it. So Crrool just ran into Shadows. So the thing about Shadows is when they were programming the game, I think they meant to make it so that the Shadows had a high probability of ambushing you. They accidentally inverted the numbers, and so you actually have a higher probability of a preemptive strike, a preemptive encounter, than you do an ambush. So Crrool has just given the giant a ruby snack. So now the giant will just walk away. Because that's what he really wanted. He really wanted a ruby snack. Who knew? I mean, you learn so much stuff just watching and playing this game. Giants eat rubies. Dark elves have a fascination with crystal eyeballs. Myota apparently only had one good eye. Jeez. Now you'll notice, even with a boosted agility, the frickin' wolves can still cause a problem. So Poorscythe was not able to get away at all. He's now having to do a second round of trying to run away. I hate wolves. Hate them. Now you'll watch Crrool. Now Crrool's going to show us one of the Final Fantasy I tropes. Here's an old dude with a long white beard, and he has a key item that we need. He had an earth rod just lying around and said, hey, here you go. Take it. There's this stone slab that if you were casually playing, you probably would have run into it and said, oh, blocked, can't go through here. So you have to get the earth rod over here. So it's another fetch quest. So you have to pick up the ruby from behind the vampire, take the ruby to the giant. The giant moves out of the way. Then you go get the earth rod. Then you take the earth rod to go smack an earth tablet, and poof, you can take on the Fiend of Earth. How cool is that? I think it's pretty cool. So Poorscythe is taking care of the giant's midnight snackery. So he's going to munch on that ruby and get out of the way. So again, our runners have just high-fived each other. So still not a whole lot of time difference. I think that I would say that they're still about 2 minutes apart, which is a really tight race. Not the tightest we've seen. There have been some races that have been decided by, gosh, I think there was one that was by 37 seconds. Yeah, I think 37 seconds might... I don't remember if it's the closest. I'd have to look at the spreadsheet. I may do that later. But there's so much stuff happening. I can't go to the spreadsheet right now. All right, so Crrool's going back into the Earth Cave, which for me is one of the most annoying things. You have to walk all the way into the Earth Cave. B1, B2, B3, fight the vampire. Then turn around and go B3, B2, B1, walk all the way around to get the Earth Rod, and then you get to do it all over again. Which is why some people will do the 15 number slide puzzle, which allows you to get that 1 in 6 chance of getting an emergency exit. If you get the emergency exit, it allows you to bounce out. Now, neither of these runners generally use that tactic, but Leo is one of the ones that does it. And sometimes it works. Like there was one time that it made all the difference for Leo. Having that emergency exit gave him a 2 to 3 minute head start on his opponent, and the lead just continued to grow. So, I mean, there was obviously RNG and other things happening to his opponent, but he just picked up that quick 2 to 3 minute 3 minute advantage and just never fell behind. Because that's what happens sometimes. Now, I personally don't do the 15 number puzzle. I hated it in real life as a kid, so I see no reason to play with a digital 15 sliding number puzzle, but different strokes for different folks. Some people like it. So, who am I to hate on that? All right, so Crrool, again, being very fortunate with the movement of the bats. So he's he should be able to slide through fairly easy. Now, the wraiths have a high agility, so Crrool elected just to kill them, then try to run away from them. The other thing that wraiths do is, just like all undead in this game, the wraiths... oh, there you go. There's the Discord link. Let's see, who was that? Snelly. So Snelly, Trigger Bart just put the Discord link in there. So feel free to join. Anyways, I think I was saying something really important. It'll come back to me eventually. So Crrool's making his way on B4. There are actually about 2 routes. There's to go through B floor. I've only learned one route, but apparently there's 2 ways to move around it. One, I guess, is faster than the other. I just haven't taken the time to figure them out. When I was learning the game, I found a route that worked for me, and I just use it every time. So B3, some runners will do a safety save early in B3, but almost everybody will do a safety save right where Crrool's doing one right now. Bat movement, getting bat blocked. It sucks. Thank you, Swarthy Fowl. So the reason we safety save in front of Lich is, for the most part, the first time we face Lich and the second time we face Lich, he is probably the trolliest of the 4 fiends. And that's because if he out speed rolls you, if his speed roll is higher than yours, he can do an AoE spell that could potentially wipe out your entire party. Now Crrool, because he put barbarian swords on everybody, he just made everybody do a physical attack. Got lucky, put Lich down. Some of us that use the Black Mage Lust Dagger route will only put barbarian swords on the warrior and thief. That runs a bigger risk. You only have 2 people who are hitting Lich, so if Lich moves before one of those 2, you can have your party wiped out, because he'll cast Blizzaga, and because we are running at such low levels, it'll wipe out our entire party, because your armor doesn't really... Well, some armor contributes to magical defense, but what we're wearing right now doesn't. So it goes straight against your legit magical defense number, and it just... You just can't fight it. So you go down. So during this unskippable cutscene that Crrool's doing, you'll see this. There's a cave as you're wandering around going to the Chaos Shrine that you walk in, and there's this statue that looks remarkably like Lich that is blocking a door. So once you kill Lich, the statue disappears, and you could go into a bonus dungeon. We're not going to go in the bonus dungeon, but that cutscene exists in case you care and want to go to the bonus dungeon. But even though we don't care, we still have to watch the cutscene. You're welcome. All right, Poorscythe is getting ready to do his turn at Lich. He has just entered B5. The bats have tried to block him, but for the most part, he squeezed through. Here's his safety save. Good job. Safety saving is very important, because if you have not done any safety saves at this point, that puts you 34 minutes behind. or 30 some odd minutes behind. Like you can't make that up unless the game super trolls, uber trolls, mega trolls your opponent. All right, so let's see what okay. And Poorscythe only attacked with his fighter and thief, but they both got high speed rolls, so he took down Lich. Congratulations, guys! The first Lich battle, neither of you got trolled. Awesome. So Crrool is intense. Poorscythe has made up a lot of time. I think he's only about a minute and a half behind. So Crrool has just sailed to the Crescent Lake, and he's going to wander around in this forest area, and he's going to pick up some more items to glitch. That is the last items that we're going to pick up before we go into the ice cave, do our ice cave setup, and then he's going to pick up a key item. Now I'm going to leave you in suspense, and actually Crrool's going to leave you in suspense because he just got ambushed by... Okay, come on, Crrool. Don't leave us waiting. All right, so he's going to go to the item shop, and he's picking up ethers. So he needs the ethers later on, so that way he can get some MP on his white mage and black mage. Now, because Crrool is not doing the Lust Dagger route, he didn't go into the armor shop. He only went in the weapons shop. Now, check this out. Final Fantasy trope. He went to an old dude with a beard and got a canoe. Now, if you guys in chat can help me figure this out, I asked Kib and Chris 2 nights ago, and they couldn't help me either. Where is that dude hiding the canoe? I mean, unless he has really flowy, voluminous robes, where the heck is that thing hiding? Because I don't see the sprite anywhere next to him. And I mean, I was a Boy Scout. I've done canoeing before. And a canoe that's big enough to carry 4 people is a pretty sizable canoe. Okay, so yeah, in FF3, it's a magic folding canoe. But I mean, in FF1, where does he hide that? I don't know. His beard? I mean, that's one heck of a... That is a beard that people in Duck Dynasty would be jealous of if you could hide a canoe in it. All right, so Crrool. So one of the cool things that in both the NES version and in the PSP version, if there is a river right next to ocean tiles, you can park the ship right at the mouth of a river and just jump out of the ship into a canoe and start canoeing. Now, the cool thing about freshwater tiles, they have an encounter rate similar to marsh tiles in that you don't have a high encounter rate. Okay. All right, Poorscythe just picked up some ethers. Now let's see, is he doing Lust Dagger? Okay, so Poorscythe has elected to do the Lust Dagger. Crrool did not. Crrool just went for the black garbs that you get from the Mithril Axe. So the difference, the black garb gives you, I believe, a 15 point advantage to your agility score every time you stack it. So it's something that we desperately need this at this point in the game because our agility scores are still fairly low and we need to run away a lot. But the other thing it does is it helps to ensure that our people first. Now, with Poorscythe putting a Lust Dagger on his black mage and his white mage, the Lust Dagger actually also increases the agility score. So he's just trying to stack it and make sure that there is absolutely, positively no chance that the Evil Eye outmaneuvers him. Because the Evil Eye can, if you're careful, control you, and it'll ruin your level 18 grind. Oh, I like that. The canoe is just padlocked behind a shed, and you just went and got it. All right, Crrool could be in trouble. Oh, nope, he got away. He was almost got paralocked. Now, Poorscythe got really lucky during his paralock. People didn't stay paralyzed very long, and so he was able to get out of it. The sucky thing about paralock is it's like a death of 1,000 cuts because our armor score is so high. It's going to take them freaking forever to kill us. So you're just watching them do 1 point, 3 points, 1 point, and it can just take forever. So depending on when you last safety saved, sometimes it's better just to take the reset than to sit through a paralog. Now again, you'll notice Wraith Inspectors have really high agility, so it's giving Crrool some issues, but they have not been paralyzing his guys. Aww, the real canoe was the friendships you made along the way. Thank you, Evil Oatmeal. I may have to put that like on a Hallmark card or something. But I have to think of like a trolley Final Fantasy picture to put on that. Because I mean, it sounds good, but really Final Fantasy RNG makes you want to just punch walls. We actually had a runner that twisted his PS4 controller in half because he was so frustrated with the RNG. Like, that's how bad this game can sometimes turn on you. So you'll notice that Crrool just happened to know that those cracked ice tiles, if you step on them, you'll fall through it. If you are just casually playing the game, you have to accidentally figure that out. When I was getting refamiliarized with this game, I wandered around this ice cave for a while. Ooh, Crrool, you got really lucky that your black mage did not just die there. Because the evil eye can do that death stare and take you. So what Crrool is trying to do is he's trying to get the evil eye to cast Thundra. There you go. Kaboom. Alright, so the reason that you do Thundra, or you want the evil eye to do Thundra, is once the warrior and thief are down, that means that the experience is only being shared between the white mage and the black mage. This is the only major level grind that we do in this entire game. So you want to grind up to level 18 at a minimum. Because you'll probably pick up another level, because there's a bunch of unrunnable encounters in the Citadel of Trials. So you'll probably get to level 19 fairly easily. Once you hit the level 19 level cap, you can learn all the spells we will use for the remainder of this run. So, in the ice cave, everybody does a safety save. The ice cave has so many things that can kill you. And kill you dead. You've got the 1 in 64 chance of running into white dragons. Later on in the game, they can cast Ice Storm and we will survive it. At this point, not so much. The ice dragons will kill you. The dark wizards, if the dark wizards ambush you, they will cast Firaga. That will kill you. If you get, let's see, gosh, there are so many things that can kill you in the ice cave. Just leave it as the ice cave can frickin' kill you. And it can do it in lots of ways that are trolly as heck. So just be ready. The ice cave is the great equalizer in the race. And if you're just solo speedrunning, it can be the place that your world record speedrun goes to die. Your world record attempt goes to die there. Alright, so Poorscythe is healing up his white mage and his black mage. He wants to ensure that the Thundra does not kill. Oh, you got a lucky roll, man. So Poorscythe got a Thundra out the gate. That is ideal. Absolutely, the ice cave is a silly place. It's a silly place to go and die. We should go somewhere else. I think there are some knights that need a shrubbery. This game is full of shrubberies. That should be easy to find. Alright, so Crrool stepped on... I think he's trying to get off the spike tile. I was looking at chat. I didn't see what he stepped on. How he got in this encounter. That looks like the spike tile encounter. Yes. So that's a spike tile that Crrool was on. Sometimes you can run away from it. There are other times where the risk of paralock is not worth it, and so you just nuke them so that way you don't get paralocked. By the way, I've been very naughty and I think I need a spanking. That's probably just because I'm in a hotel room. I don't know. Idle things that commentators think about while they're waiting for the next most amazing thing to happen on a run. All right, Poorscythe just checked real quick to check his levels to see if he needed to keep grinding. And remember, the reason he's having to do that is because his Black Mage is off. Remember, his Black Mage died during the Astos fight. No, was it Black Mage or White Mage? Black Mage. So Black Mage died during the Astos fight. So he had. Remember, I told you that level management is real. Wait, he only stopped at level 17? Okay, so Poorscythe only stopped at level 17. Most people will grind to level 18. Grinding to level 18 gives you that cushion to ensure that you are level 19 when you exit the Citadel of Trials. So Poorscythe is taking a gamble by not doing an extra 2 encounters. Thank you, chat. White Mage. He just had Pisco Demons, so maybe he made a good gamble. Because if his White Mage and Black Mage just level up, let's see, do they level? Somebody leveled. There wasn't 2 though. But he's running the risk that he may have to grind that zombie Citadel of Trials. Now notice, Poorscythe made up a lot of time. It seemed like he was way behind, but they're both like right there on the river. So literally, they are neck and neck now. Because right now, I would say Crrool has about a 5-second lead. And that, boys and girls, is why you can never count anybody out in this game. We have a race. They are neck and neck. Kaboom. Guys, great show. Holy crap. So Poorscythe made up 2 minutes in the ice cave. That tells you, remember I told you, the ice cave is trolly as heck. So the ice cave slowed down Crrool enough to let Poorscythe make up a 2-minute loss. And now Crrool's got the Sahagin and Sahagin Chief, tough thing to get away from, even though we have Blackgarb stacked. So it slows him down enough that it's letting Poorscythe keep a lead. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting! All right, so we're in the desert. And we just happen to know about the desert. Now, if we were actually playing casually, we probably would have asked around in the Crescent Lake Village, and they would have dropped some hints that there's something hidden in the desert. So going into fetch quest, people, fetch quest. So you go and get the Levy Stone, then you go to the desert, and the desert just pops out an airship, gives birth to an airship, and pop, airship. All right, so where are we going next? This is where some runs diverge. Actually, no, wait, it's in a little bit. They diverge. It's at Mount Gulg. Sorry. So here, Poorscythe is doing a safety save. The reason he's doing a safety save is because this desert has sandworms. The sandworms have a probability of using... Okay, he didn't get sandworms. Good. The sandworms have a probability of casting Earthquake. We have very little defense against Earthquake, and it will just kill us. It'll party wipe you. So if you did not do a save since Ice Cave, it puts you back before the level grind, which puts you, at that point, you lose probably 5 to 6 minutes, which is a big deal. I mean, you'll notice that 2 minutes Poorscythe was able to make up because of an Ice Cave. But Crrool had better RNG coming to the Citadel of Trials. Now you'll notice he's going in the Citadel of Trials, you have all these teleporters. Now I'm going to give you a secret. Oh, zombie dragons. Crrool just ran into zombie dragons, and they are an unrunnable encounter. You got to fight through them. And my feed is freezing. Let me refresh. There we go. Yay for hotel Wi-Fi. All right, so here's the secret about the Citadel of Trials. Take the bottom teleporter. You're welcome. Zombie Minotaur, unrunnable encounter. Poorscythe's gonna have to fight through him. The bottom teleporter. So even in the room where the teleporter by side, guess what? One is higher than the other one. So you still take the bottom one. Always take the bottom one. All right, let's see. Sorry, had to refresh my window again. Everybody in my hotel is logging into the Wi-Fi, so it's slowing down. So Poorscythe and Crrool are both on the Nightmare spike tile. And the reason they're going to hit that spike tile twice is hit it, go pick up the healing staff, and then hit it again as they're walking away. Poorscythe just had the misfortune of getting a random encounter right off of it. So he'll pick up the healing staff. Now some runners, Nightmares are a runnable encounter, but you'll notice Poorscythe has elected not to run from the Nightmares. That's because sometimes you can waste a lot of time trying to get away from Nightmares because they have a high agility score. So, like me personally, at this stage of the game, I would do exactly what Poorscythe is doing. I would just fight the Nightmares because it's not worth the time loss of trying to get away from them. So Crrool has picked up the rat's tail and has stepped on a spike tile that has 2 zombie dragons. So because of the unrunnable encounters you have in this, as well as these 2 spike tiles, if you do to fight the Nightmares both times, you generally are guaranteed, if you did your level grind right in Ice Cave, to be level 19. Like I said, level 19 is what you need to get all the spells we need for the remainder of this run. So Poorscythe has just picked up Rat's Tail. He will then step on the spike tile, and he'll be right behind Crrool. I would say the crazy RNG that he had has put him about 45 seconds behind Crrool. Still something that can easily end up because RNG plays a factor in this game. Plays a huge factor. Oh, okay. What you're seeing is Poorscythe is having finished that level 19 level grind because he didn't grind to level 18 in the Ice Cave. He's having to do it here because he didn't have enough unrunnable encounters on his way. So he has to hit these zombie dragons a couple times to get White Mage and Black Mage to level 19. Now the bonus that I just thought about, by Poorscythe waiting this long, he was probably trying to ensure that his thief got some levels. Because when the thief class changes to a ninja, the ninja has the opportunity to learn haste. If you do your grind right, which I'm taking notes here, because if Poorscythe was like hooking me up with something that I didn't know before or hadn't thought of, if you make sure that your ninja has haste, then you first round when you're fighting chaos, you have 2 people testing haste, which can drastically speed up a chaos fight. So Crrool has just given Comet, the King of Dragons, an emblem of his bravery, a rat tail. Why is a rat tail a proof of bravery? I mean, I've caught rats in mouse traps before. That wasn't very brave. I put peanut butter on the mouse trap, and the rat came in, licked the peanut butter, and died. So, I mean, there's probably an easier way to get a rat tail than going into the Citadel of Trials. They probably could have just put a mouse trap with peanut butter out there, gotten a rat's tail. I don't know. Anyways, so this is how you get the class change. You could potentially play this entire game and not do the class change. The class change is not a required thing that you have to do. However, most people want the class change because it gives you some stat boosts. It changes how you're leveling, and it also opens up some of the bigger spells and stuff. So you'll notice Crrool is doing all the last minute shopping. He's picking up all the spells that he's going to need for the remainder of the game. He went to Mond, he picked up teleport and healer. So you need teleport for some of the stuff we're doing later on, and healer because that's mainly what we have the mage doing during the chaos. And Crrool's ninja was not a high enough level, so he did not get haste for his ninja. He only got haste for the black mage. So he's ethering up so that way he can start casting spells in Mount Golg. And now he's going to make the walk through Mount Golg. So Poorscythe, I think Crrool picked up the axial stuff. I think he's going to be doing that later. So this is where you see runners diverge a lot. So I'm going to try and commentate 2 people going in entirely 2 different directions. So what Poorscythe is doing right now is he went to the caravan, picked up the fairy that's been jammed in a bottle. He also picked up a couple Giants tonics. You'll need the Giant tonics for the chaos fight because you need that HP stat boost because our Black Mage and our Ninja are going to be too low in their HP score to survive some of the AoE spells that Chaos casts. He's now taken the fairy bottle to Gaia, the city Gaia, the village Gaia, and he has released the fairy. Release the fairy. And is now picking up Oxial. So, and then I'll let him his Oxial. So let's go back to Crrool. So, pan left. So Crrool is walking through Mount Golg. Now, one of the things I want you to notice is that Crrool is doing his best to walk on all the lava tiles. That's important. The reason he's walking on lava tiles is because the lava tiles, like the port tiles I was telling you about earlier, have a 0% encounter rate. You cannot have a random encounter while you're walking on lava tile. Now, Crrool elected to fully heal all his people before he walked through Mount Golg. That's a good tactic because what that does is it ensures that your people probably won't all be dead or be at 1 hit point. Because what happens as you're walking on the lava, you take 1 hit point of damage to your entire party the entire walk through Mount Golg. So if you don't heal up, you run the risk of in the lower levels of Mount Golg being at 1 hit point, and there are some runnable encounters in here, and it could cause some party members to die. Now, the reason I didn't commentate the Merilith fight is because Merilith usually dies fairly quick because barbarian swords happen. So Merilith is dead. Now check this out. Now we've already seen the Earth Crystal light up. Now watch what happens. Okay, the Fire Crystal. Everybody's surprised. The Crystal did the exact same thing Crystal did. This is where I obviously the standardized test scores required to be a Warrior of Light is not very high. They are surprised every single time. Every time a crystal lights up, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this happened again!" Like, really? I don't know why you'd be surprised, but they are. Anyways, you're about to watch the Merilith statue disappear. So there's another bonus if you want to do it. But we don't. So Crrool just stepped on the teleporter, and he is out of Mount Golg. So I'm assuming at this point he's going to do the stuff that Poorscythe did. So he's going to have to go pick up the fairy bottle. Let's see. Are you getting the fairy bottle, Crrool? Where are you going? Okay, he is. So Crrool's going to pick up the fairy bottle, buy the giant, get the Oxial, and then start doing all the fetch questing that gets you to the Sunken Shrine. Actually, that is fetch questing that gets you to the Sunken Shrine. So he's just doing things in order. But the thing is, the game doesn't require you to do everything. You could, if you wanted, do the entire Sunken Shrine before going to Mount Golg. We just don't. But you could. The only thing that you have to do in order is you have to do the Earth Cave first. The way they have it set up, the old dude with the canoe will not give you the canoe until you have beat Earth Cave. Otherwise, you could do the class change before you ever fought Lich, which would be totally legitly cool. But you can't do that. So the earliest you can do the class change is after Earth Cave. Poorscythe, having no issue with Merilith, is going to watch the Merilith statue disappear. His light warriors are also surprised that the crystal lights up because reasons. Video games. And he's going to finish watching his cutscene. He's going to step on the teleporter. And then I'll be interested to see, now that their runs are going to line up, how far behind he still is. So Crrool just got the Oxial. Oh, he elected to use teleport. Okay, so here's one of the cool things about teleport. So what teleport does is it can save you time. If you're in a city or a village, it immediately takes you out of said city or village. If you are in a dungeon, which is what you're going to see in the Sunken Shrine, it will take you onto the previous floor you were on at the point that you left that floor onto the floor you were just on. Does that make sense? That sounded kind of confusing. Hopefully you caught that. If you didn't, Crrool's going to demonstrate it soon. So now in Onric, Crrool is going to utilize his Oxial. Poorscythe is in the middle of all his magic buying that Crrool did earlier. Now check this out. Flying mermaids. Crrool just saw a flying mermaid. Who knew? I thought mermaids only swam. But in Final Fantasy 1, not only can mermaids swim, they can frickin' fly. Now, he just skipped the cutscene because the going underwater cutscene in the little submarine thing switches graphics engines, allows you to skip it.
So in a casual run, you could watch the cutscene, but we're not going to. Now, the Sunken Shrine can be a place where it could slow Crrool down a lot. There are quite a few unrunnable encounters in the Sunken Shrine. You've got ghosts, Ice Geek is Ice Wolf, water elementals by themselves, Sahagin chiefs with Sahagin princes. There's quite a few encounters that he could have to fight through that will slow him down. And Poorscythe having some lousy luck with RNG getting to Onric. Alright, so now he's in Onric. And there you go. Crrool now has to fight his way through the Sahagins. Now, one thing I haven't pointed out before that I'm going to point out right now is that one of the reasons why a lot of runners try and minimize how much we use the Judgment Staff is because the Judgment Staff has an 8-second casting animation, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you have to use it multiple times, it adds up over time. Whereas if you're using the Mage Staff, which casts Fira, it allows you to have a 3 to 4 second animation. So Poorscythe, who picked up the gauntlets earlier, just used the gauntlets as an item and cast Thundra and took out all the Sahagins and Sahagin princes. Now, because you're using the item, you're still going to want to use a character that has a high intelligence score. So I didn't see who he was using it with. Different runners do different things. So some people will stack all the intelligence. Okay, White Mage. White Mage is the correct answer. So he has stacked intelligence boosting items on White Mage. So when the White Mage uses the gauntlets, it has more damage than if he did it some other way. If he used like another character, like if Warrior would use the gauntlets, not do nearly as much damage as his White Mage with the stacked intelligence boosts. So Poorscythe is going down to level 5. So that way he can pick up the Rosetta Stone. Now, Rosetta Stone is not the computer program that you and I are all familiar with that helps you learn Japanese and, Esperanto and other languages. It helps you to learn Lufenian. Now, Poorscythe on level 5 is not going to run into any random encounters. There are no random encounters on level 5. However, if you want, you can talk to as many mermaids as you please because they're all on that floor. So he picks up the Rosetta Stone, and I didn't commentate on this earlier. Crrool has ghosts. Unrunnable encounter, so he's going to have to fight through that. So you'll see Poorscythe use Teleport. Teleport is going to take him off of level 5, and it's going to put him on floor 4, right where he left floor 4 to go onto floor 5. Oh, he's picking up the Light Axe on floor. So there's 2 places you can pick up the Light Axe in Sunken Shrine. You can pick it up on the 2nd floor, which is where Crrool picked it up, or you can pick it up on the 4th floor. Now, some of the bigger guys who do the speed run a lot have said that the 4th floor Light Axe is actually faster to pick it up. So I think Poorscythe is hoping to make up some time picking up the Light Axe on that floor. So by using the Light Axe, he can glitch Survival Vests. Survival Vests give us, I believe, a 20-point boost on agility. So at this point, we should pretty much be able to run as much as we can. All right, so the reason that they only take 1 damage is because with the equipment glitch that we do, we can stack armor items. So you'll have, instead of having to try and find the best helm to reduce damage and whatnot, we're stacking really powerful armor on the helmet slot, the armor slot, and the glove slot. What that does, not only is the armor that we're picking giving us a big boost in agility, it also gives us a fairly sizable boost in defense, which is why they take next to no damage from anybody other than bosses. So that's why they take only 1 damage for the most part. It's because the equipment glitch that we use for the most part breaks the game. If we did not use the equipment glitch, this would be, I think, a 2.5 hour run. 3 if you're not super good, but I believe it's a 2.5 hour run if you don't use the equipment glitch. So it cuts almost an entire hour off the run. because we can get end of equipment armor and weapons at the very beginning. All right, so Crrool is now releasing the But look at that cape. I love the cape. Hold on, let's look at it. Look at that cape. But somebody mentioned earlier, Kraken looks sad. He probably looks sad because he knows he's about to die. Because he just got barbarian sword to death. You are welcome. Welcome. The equipment glitch is actually really cool. It's hard to learn initially because it's getting your timing right. I don't want to say muscle memory because your muscles don't have memory, but it's timing. So you have to hit a bumper on your controller and X at the same time. That's how you get the equipment glitch to work. Okay. Oh, it's not going to let me in. I was trying to get into the SRLs. The SRL times. So when my internet rebooted, it kicked me out of the SRL chat room. So I'm not in the IRC chat anymore. So I'm going to see the official times for SRL. When we're doing the tournament, the SRL time is the real time that we use for the matches, as far as who wins and who loses. Now again, you'll notice I mentioned the Sunken Shrine has a lot of unrunnable encounters. Poorscythe made up some pretty good time. He is one cut speed behind Crrool at this point. So still really, 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 really close. Crrool is going to the Waterfall Cave. Waterfall Cave has, in my opinion, I'm sure Poorscythe, who has studied all the stats and stuff, knows better than me. But in my opinion, it has the highest encounter rate in the entire game. There have been times where I have just wanted to scream going through Waterfall Cave because it can sometimes be so slow. A, because you can get battled a lot, which is #annoying. But B, there are so many encounters. I mean, look, Poorscythe can hardly take like 8 steps. Boom, another random encounter. And if you're not careful, if you don't have the Waterfall Cave like super really good memorized, or you're not really focused, so all the random encounters just keep happening, like right one after another, can make you lose your sense of direction in the Waterfall Cave. The Waterfall Cave is a fairly large maze. So if you accidentally make a wrong turn, you can lose a little bit of time. However, is focused like a laser, so he did not get confused. But now here's the Nightmares. The Nightmares are doing their utmost to not let him run away. Now you saw that blindness got put on his characters from the Nightmare, because that's what Nightmares do when they snort. They cloud your vision in darkness. Darkness doesn't do anything in this game. You can just ignore it. In late Final Fantasy games, darkness actually does something. In Fantasy 1, you can ignore it. For the most part, it really doesn't do anything. It doesn't really reduce your stats a whole lot. So, no biggie. Don't sweat it. So Crrool steps on a spike tile. This is actually a fairly favorable spike tile he just stepped on. He ran into no pyrolisks. So he picks up the second chest from the left that has a ribbon, and then he goes to this quasi-functioning robot who's going to give him the War Cube. All right, little cutscene. Okay, so he is going to do the glitch away. So this is the one time you're going to see us do the glitch in reverse. So he's going to use the ribbon and he's going to glitch onto the warrior a Gigan Axe. He's then going to put the barbarians back on the warrior, and then the Gigan Axe we just created through the equipment glitch we're going to use to put ribbons on everybody. Now, I was corrected during my last stream when I was commentating. If you go to bonus dungeons, there are indeed 4 ribbons in this game. If you do not go to bonus dungeons, I believe there's 3. So the ribbon is a very cool item in the sense that it gives you it gives you a bonus to your magic defense. A, really cool. But B, it makes it so that for the most part you are immune to all status ailments. It also makes so that Earthquake doesn't do anything to you. It's a freebie. Freebie move. So Crrool is going to talk to Dr. Une. And Dr. Une is going to take a look at the Rosetta Stone. He's going to be like, oh my god, I can learn Luthanian. He's going to look at the Rosetta Stone and immediately learn Luthanian. And he's going to be so grateful that he's going to teach you Luthanian. Now, boys and girls, I know 2 foreign languages. Unless Luthanian is like Pig Latin, you're not going to learn that a foreign language in like 10 seconds. That just... it took me probably almost a year to feel really comfortable having conversations in Ukrainian and Russian. So 10 seconds, highly unrealistic. So as you're watching Crrool do the walk down to Luthanian, whatever, the place with like angelic looking people. He used the canoe to use those freshwater tiles that have a encounter. Walking around the water tiles gives you a higher because you're walking through forest. So he's going to use to his advantage the low RNG percentage tiles. So freshwater, going to canoe through that. Marsh tiles, maximize walking across those as he's going to Luthanian. Hurry up and get there, guys. Don't keep trying to remember how to pronounce that. Poorscythe had his fortune of getting caught by Minotaur zombies, but guess what? They're freaking zombies. Zombies are weak to fire, so he just burned them. All right, let's see how Crrool's NPC luck is. He had 1 block. The other one was like a half block. I guess in like basketball terms, it would be like a block and a half. So he's just obtained the chime, and he's going to use teleport right, so that way he avoids the possibility of those stupid NPCs walking in his way. So you teleport, boop, out you go. And now he's on his way. So our runners are just about to high-five each other. Is that it? A black wizard can learn a language in 5 seconds? Dude, that's pretty awesome. And I always thought black wizard was kind of lame. I may have to apologize for that one. So Crrool has to use Barbarian Sword to get him out of that unrunnable encounter. And Poorscythe had amazing NPC luck. Got straight to the chime. And out he goes. And out he goes. Out he goes. And out he goes. Yay! Poorscythe is free. Luthanian. Whatever. So with the chime warp cube, we can now go into the Mirage Tower. Now, here's one of the things that if you have not figured out yet, Final Fantasy I really relies on your spirits having good cardio because you do a lot of walking. And the thing is, like, the airship makes you feel like you can move and go places. But here's what you find out. They troll you. They like tease you. You can move around at the speed of sound with an airship. But there's no landing spots close to where you want to go. So you always have to land way far away and walk a lot to where you're going. So it's really annoying, at least in my opinion. I hate that. Hate it. Poorscythe and Crrool are both in the Mirage Tower. Crrool is currently walking around the clock part of the tower, where you're like boop, walking all the way around. And he's getting ready to step on the blue dragon spike tile. That's right, no airship parking. This game like punks you all the time, giving you no place to land that airship. Oh, random encounter just before the warp. Oh, and then Poorscythe had a random encounter too. I was like, man, maybe Poorscythe will catch up. Personally, I don't care who wins. I just love a close race. So Crrool is now on the first floor flying fortress. I hate first floor of the Flying Fortress. I think on the tower it has the highest encounter rate of any floor in the Flying Fortress. Just one time it took me over a minute and a half because there were so many stupid encounters on the first floor. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the NES version, the Flying Fortress looked really futuristic. Like it looked like space age. They elected in the PSP version apparently just to make it look slick, but it still looks like a regular tower. Aside from like the robots wandering around, but I mean, you know, whatever. Now, excuse me. Apologize for burning your ears. So Poorscythe it just showed you that air elementals are only elementals that you can run from consistently in this game. And there's Crrool, one air elemental. Every other elemental will like you down. Oh, here we go. Warmech hype. Warmech hype. Come on, Crrool. Nope, no Warmech. Dag. All right, one more time. Come on, Poorscythe, don't let us down. Find us a Warmech. We've seen like 2, maybe 3 Warmechs, but very hard. One time, I just really wanted to find a Warmech, so I wandered around that floor of the Flying Fortress for 5 minutes until I got a Warmech. That way, I could be like, yes, I finally got a Warmech. I wasn't doing it for time. I was just doing it for fun. So take the cliche Dragon Boss down. So that's the last of the Fiends. So now Crrool can finish the game. Poorscythe is on the Eternal floor. If you don't know the pattern on that floor, you can walk around it forever. It's forever. It'll just go and go and go and go and go. So the trick is to go 2 to each side. You can either go 2 to the left or 2 to the right, and either 2 up or 2. So that it doesn't matter if you do the 2 down first and 2 left, or if you go 2 up, 2 left, or whatever tickles you in the right way. And that's if you want to do it, you can do it that way. Just make sure it's 2 one direction and 2 the other direction. Otherwise, you'll get to wander around that tower forever and ever. It will never let you go. It's like that girl in high school that would just like stalk you. Because I'm a guy, it was girls that were doing it. But you know, if it was a girl, it was probably a guy doing it to you or whatever. Anyways. So back to Crrool. So Crrool is flying to. He is going to the last dungeon of the game, and there's actually for Pelorite, there is actually good airship parking for the Chaos Shrine. So Crrool is watching a cutscene now. If you are getting refamiliarized with the game, like I was in December, and you're not sure what you're doing, you may go in there. That's the time trial bonus dungeon. Don't go in there. You don't need to do that. Now, here's a cool factoid. Are you all ready? See all those bats around Crrool? Those are Lufenians. See, the Lufenians tried to chaos and failed. And their 5 heroes were turned into bats. And that airship we've been joyriding in, that was their airship that we have commandeered and used. Now, when you are talking to the bats when you first start the game, and I never talked to them at the beginning of the game in the PSP version, but in the NES version, they go, Kiki! Okay? Laugh if you want. But that's what they say, Kiki. Once you learn Lufenian, you talk to the bats, they will actually tell you their story of how they got punked by chaos and were turned into bats. So it's pretty cool. Kib didn't believe me. She checked it because part of that was I was really playing up that I might have been punking her, but I wasn't. And she verified it, and sure enough, the bats speak Lufenian. So there you go. That's your cool factoid. If you did not know that, you're welcome. So Crrool is on the floor. You have to have the loot for. Okay, Green Dragon, unrunnable encounter. You have to hack and slash his way through it. So in the NES version, like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, and I'm saying this again just because there's a lot of people that have tuned in as we've been going. If you, well, they weren't bats to begin with. They were turned into bats. And then they got stuck in the Chaos Shrine and couldn't find their way out because apparently they have ski sonar. But like I was saying, so once you kill Death Eye, you have to have the loot to flip the Chaos Shrine upside down or whatever to go through here. NES version would allow you to walk out of the chambers where Princess Sarah gives you the loot. The NES version would let you walk away. So you could get to this point and not have the loot, and you couldn't progress. And once you go into this part of the Chaos Shrine, you can't go back home. So you would be stuck. And that would suck. Crrool ran into zombie dragons encounter. Scythe has his own unrunnable encounter, the green dragon. But luckily that was fixed. PSP version. The game will not troll you. It will not let you out of the throne room until you pick up the loot. So that was nice of them. All right, so Crrool is on the floor that I absolutely, not because of the purple worms. I mean, who cares about purple worms? When I see purple worms, it reminds me of a Jimi Hendrix song, you know, Purple Haze running through my brain. But anyways, that's because I'm old. But the thing I hate about this floor that Crrool is on is... Oh, he didn't have... Good. White dragons. White dragons is the correct answer for 100. What are white dragons? They suck. They can ice storm you to death if you're not careful. Although that chimera is... Those chimeras are blazing it pretty hard. Bash Witch Bot, I'm sorry. And RIP, did I miss something? I'm on hotel internet, so I'm not sure. I might be lagging. I'll refresh in a second. Okay, Crrool just had a random encounter. I'll refresh. What are you talking about? There's no RIP. Silly cat. All right, so Poorscythe has just... Crrool has just hit Lich for the second time. And... Oh no, he got flared. Is that going to wipe out his entire party? Is that why you said RIP? That far behind? Oh, he still lived. He's good. That's actually a good flare. He hasn't used hardly any Phoenix Downs to run, so he's good. He's good. Well, actually, so the green dragons, because you put ribbons on all 4 of your characters, that Scourge attack or that poisoning attack that the green dragons do is pretty much null. It hardly does anything to you. I don't even does anything to you now that I think about it. So the green dragons are not as bad as they used to be. Once we glitch the ribbon on everybody, we're good to go. We're good to hook. White dragons, however, suck. Freaking hate white dragons. I've had to reset more than one because white dragons wiped out my entire party. All right, so Poorscythe is headed over to Lich. The Lich second encounter. Crrool just hit Merilith second encounter. And that shouldn't give him too much trouble because he has 4 Barbarian Sword. So he should be able to slice his way through her pretty easy. Poorscythe elected to haste his ninja. And he had a good... Okay, so order. Maneuver order is so paramount. So because the black wizard moved before the ninja, he was able to get the ninja to do over 2,000 damage. That's awesome. So it made it so it was really quick. All right. Crrool making his way on the water floor. Poorscythe is making his way to the second Merilith fight. The longest floor to maneuver when you're doing the elemental fights is there's a lot of walking on the water floor. There's a lot of zigzag. It's just the water floor, the way it is. Lich is... So water elementals can't run from that. So Crrool is going to have to fight his way through that. Poorscythe finishing the Merilith 2 fight. Like, they're still really, really close. Really, really close. Like, this could be really... Oh, man, getting excited. It's going to come down to the chaos fight. All right, Crrool's working his way through the Kraken. Poorscythe making his way to the Kraken fight. And Crrool has just finished off. So, anybody for some calamari? I love fried calamari, by the way. Fried calamari with some good marinara sauce. Oh my gosh, so good. Poorscythe is actually really close. If it wasn't for that random encounter, he'd be right at the Kraken fight. So he's only one fiend fight behind. So Crrool is working his way through Tiamat 2. Poorscythe should finish up Kraken 2 really quick. And a crit hit should do it. Okay, so Kraken 2 is down. Alright, Tiamat 2 is down. So Crrool elected to haste his ninja to try and make it a little faster. But again, order is always important. There's a lot of times where you cast haste, and so you're really risk that the haste animation is slow enough that if it happens after the person who's supposed to hit hits. See, there you go. See, I was right. See, Poorscythe. So Crrool is on the final floor. There are no encounters, and he's going to do the last little bit of glitching to prepare for the fight. And now, the major reveal. Garland, that night, that an hour and 26 minutes ago, probably an hour and 23 minutes ago, that we punked by judgment staffs, is now 2,000 years later, or 2,000 years in the past, chaos. And apparently he's grumpy. Now, if you look at him, look at where he's got all these weird faces, and he's got like these weird things protruding from his body. I'd be pretty grumpy too. I'm not sure if Crrool did save Game Boy. I didn't see him save. I didn't even see him do a lot of glitching, prepping for the fight. So I don't know what all he did. I was kind of bouncing back and forth. Although his black mage might die. That's a blaze. Ho 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 ho! Wow. 4 hit points left. That was pretty good. Now you'll notice that with his white mage Healera, it only did about 220. So he didn't stack as many healing items as I would have. And he also used the healing staff, so instead of casting Haste Warrior, he used the healing staff to kind of give more of a pad for his HP. It's an interesting tactic. It's a little bit slower than what I'm used to seeing, but it may work out for him because now everybody's got a high enough HP count that he should be safe from everything. The only one that might be close is his ninja if he gets hit with a cyclone. Thank you, Golan. I'm glad you said it because I wasn't sure if I should say something like that. But I mean, I think that would be really uncomfortable and make me upset if that was me, and I had that there. All right, so if you saw, his ninja almost died on that tidal wave. So what that means is his ninja probably doesn't have enough HP for this cyclone. Cyclone is going to kill his ninja. But everybody else should survive. Yep, ninja down. Now, he should still be at hold X, and he should be fine. It's just losing the ninja. The ninja is the highest damage producer in the game at this point. So it just makes it a little bit slower. Earthquake is a freebie. Earthquake doesn't do anything to us because we have ribbons. Poorscythe has entered the fight, and Ninja, Warrior, and Black Mage are all glowing from haste. So he's good to hook. Sorry, that's an army term. He's good to go. And Crrool should be just about done. That's it. That's time. So Crrool wins this round. I don't have the SRL time, so I can only go by the time that he has up there, but that's an hour, 29 minutes, and 15 seconds. Ho! And there you have it. Poorscythe finishes in an hour, 29 minutes, and 25 seconds. That run was decided by 10 seconds. Good job, everybody. All right, let me see if I can pull people into the tournament room. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can pull. Can I pull him? Hold on. Let's see. There is a way to pull him into the room I'm in. I'm trying to... Not letting me do it. All right, somebody who has godlike powers in Discord have to help me roll into the tournament race channel because it is not letting me pull him in. So there's a couple of people that I've seen in Twitch that can do it. So if you guys could just pop in.
Yo.
All right. Everybody's here. Good job, Crrool. Good job, Poorscythe. That was a great race decided by 10 seconds.
Oh my god. What a finale there.
I mean, it was back and forth. There was a couple times where Poorscythe fell behind by about almost 2 to 3 minutes, and then RNG kicked in, and there was quite a few times where you guys were neck and neck. Like, it was almost mirror image. It was a great race.
Congratulations, Crrool.
Thank you. That was something. Very well done.
Yeah, I was fighting like heck to try to catch you. I just couldn't seem to catch up.
Yeah, no, that early game was so good, and then my mid game, Ice Cavern, was so bad. And then,
It was. The Ice Cavern is where Poorscythe really caught up to you.
Yeah, I was
Ice
looking
Cavern.
at the restream. I noticed we simultaneously walked into Ryokan Desert to get the airship, like on the dot, basically. I was like, oh god, no, this isn't happening, not like this. And from there on, it's been a super close race. I'm still shaking right now, but boy, that was something.
Oh
Yeah,
man, it was amazing to watch.
I made one stupid mistake but otherwise I felt like it was a pretty good run.
Yeah, I played really well throughout. My menuing wasn't as good as I was hoping it to be. I mean, it wasn't bad by any means, but it was a little bit sloppy here and there. But other than that, I feel I played really well. I'm really happy, by the way, that I didn't save before Chaos.
I took a quick save. I didn't think it mattered much at that point because I kind of figured you had more of a lead than 10 seconds.
Well, my ninja died during the fight. But at that point, it was close enough to a kill that I was like, okay, I'm not even going to revive him. It's 2 or 3 more turns. It's not worth it. That saved you a little bit of time there.
I had a pretty good chaos pattern, and I had haste on the ninja, so I was very capable of catching up if I had a very cooperative pattern like that.
Yeah, I mean, my pattern was decent throughout. I mean, the first turn, my Black Mage clutched it at 4 HP, which was the first mini heart attack I had during Chaos. And after that, he did a couple physicals, and things kind of went well, and then he did Tsunami Cyclone back-to-back, which killed my ninja. But at that point, I was close enough. I was like, okay, I just have to go for it, and I have to pray that it's enough.
Yeah, I didn't save at the start of Chaos Shrine, and that almost bit me in the butt because I was going to use... I ran into a green dragon pack, and I picked the wrong item in my inventory to use.
Yeah, I did save there. I was considering not doing it. I was like, I can't, like, realistically not save, because if I die, I still want to finish. I don't want to make this a forfeit, because I would have been set back all the way to Cavern of Ice, where I had last saved. Because I skipped basically every safety save along the way by the time I got that close. Not that there are that many, but yeah.
I can tell you, the chat and I were hit with that flare by Lich 2. It came really close to wiping out your entire party.
It did. I knew I had enough health to survive it. Even if he had max rolled everything, I think I would have still lived with my warrior. But yeah, that was... a little bit too close for comfort, if you ask.
Well, I can't honestly be disappointed with that. It's still an excellent time.
I mean, two 129s in a tournament race. I mean, let's be very fair. That's about as good as it's gonna get. Like, this is a time where it's anybody's game, basically. Definitely an excellent race, and definitely a well-earned time for the both of us.
Yeah, it was a well-earned victory. I mean, I was struggling a little bit in the early game, but
the great thing is I'm sorry.
I was just kind of waiting for an opportunity to spring. Like, every single match I've had, it feels like I've fallen way behind in the early game, and I've just been kind of waiting for an opportunity to pass my opponent if they made a mistake or something.
Yeah, my last few runs have actually always been really bad at the early game. Like, if I had this early game on Saturday, I would have PB'd by almost 2 minutes. And that, like, my early games have been terrible lately, so when I got this kind of early game, I was actually kind of happy. I did realize, at that point, if this had happened 2 days ago, I would have been top 10 somewhere, because it would have been a 127 or potentially even 126. But, you know, that's the nature of the game, I guess.
Well, and the cool thing is that both of you are using very different runs, so it gave everybody in chat an opportunity to watch. Crrool used the older Barbarian Sword route, that's just Barbarian Sword Judgment Staff, and then with Poorscythe, you were using all the items for those free casts, so it was really great for everybody to see the difference. Now, those are both older runs. It's not the newest, sexiest run that everybody's using, the Black Mage Lust Dagger route. And there are other runners that do that, but it was really cool to show the people in chat that you don't have to do the run the same prescribed way and be competitive. You guys did things in a different order, and it was decided by 10 seconds.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, you know, seeing the kind of races where there are actually some differences. I mean, both of these routes are still viable to date. Both of these routes are capable of getting top times. And, you know, seeing them being shown off next to each other like this is just a fantastic showcase of the game, I think.
Yeah, I think the route I chose is well suited to catching up against Crrool's route, just because I have additional combat options. And, I mean, there's so many opportunities for him to get poor encounters that could slow him down. And I have an advantage there, but every time I tried, it seemed like he just kept pulling away.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of a yo-yo.
It really was. It really was. And at the end of the day, it really got decided by the luck here.
Yeah, I saved almost 40 seconds on my Chaos split there, which is close to a perfect pattern for me. Against my PB splits.
I should actually check. I think this was faster than my than the PB I've been comparing against for the better part of the last year or so. I'm kind of curious whether that... Yeah, it actually did beat it by 6. The second time I've beaten this time the second time I've been faster than the old time I was comparing against in literally a year.
Well, as excited as I would have been to continue in the upper bracket, I still think I can do quite a bit of damage in the lower bracket here.
Oh, I'm expecting that much. Knowing you, you're not gonna let this go easy.
No, and there's still plenty of opportunity for a rematch in our future, I think.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and that's something important for all of you in chat that may not be familiar. We are now in the double elimination portion of this tournament. So Poorscythe, even though he lost today, he is still alive and in the tournament, because he would have to lose one more time to be completely knocked out. So somebody in the losers bracket, or consolation is what we call it nowadays, will be playing against the top runner in the top bracket. So there is still a chance Poorscythe can play back all the way through and be playing in the championship round.
I mean, I'm just saying, Poorscythe, I've got you all the way up until the losers final in my predictions, so you better make that happen.
I don't have any plans on losing anytime soon, but we'll have to see. I also wasn't planning to lose today, but it's not entirely up to me.
No, this was a fantastic show of skill on both ends, I think.
Yeah, excellent times, excellent times.
Well, are there any last minute shout outs that you all want to do before we conclude the broadcast today?
I'll just take the opportunity to thank you for commentating, as we've had some troubles with commentating some of our matches, but it's always appreciated when we can get our matches restreamed and have some commentators to help out and assist the chat with help out with what's going on, because a lot of it can go pretty fast if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and shout outs to everybody behind the scenes as well, just restreaming this. Fiesel for just setting it up to begin with. With giving us the opportunity to showcase it on Speed Gaming once again.
Well, thank you for the compliment. And for any of you today who are watching this run, this is such a super easy run to learn. If you saw it and you enjoyed it, it's a really open community. Like I mentioned earlier, I've only been running this game for about 90 days, and it's a fun game to speed run in spite of the RNG, and it's really easy. You can quickly pick up this game. A lot of us that are new picked up the game within about 30 days of the tournament starting, and a lot of us were still pretty competitive.
Yeah, I mean, we will welcome anybody if they want to join the Discord or pick up the run. It is a very beginner-friendly speed run to learn, so don't be afraid if you guys want to give it a shot.
Absolutely, and Poorscythe was kind enough to repost that, so feel free to join the Discord. There's plenty of guides on the speedruns.com, so there's all sorts of ways to easily get into the run. So with that, thank you all for tuning in. Rockman 2 tournament run that's coming up next, so feel free to hang out here if you want to see some great Mega Man action. And other than that, Poorscythe, when's the next match? Isn't there a match tonight?
No match tonight. I believe there's another match tomorrow, or there at least was talk of another match tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's going to happen necessarily. The next one on the schedule right now is Friday, but I'm sure somebody might sneak one in before then.
Okay, so just stay tuned. Watch the Speed Gaming schedule. We're right now just starting round 2. This is actually the first match in round 2. So there will be a lot of matches probably getting set up throughout the rest of this week and into next week. So thank you all for watching. We appreciate you giving us an opportunity to show you a great, fun game, Final Fantasy 1. And feel free to tune in again and watch the next race.